Hey guys, welcome to Outlaw Edge. So today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna not only explain post dollies to you and their uses, but I'm gonna build two post dollies real quick so you can see how simple it is to build post dollies. So I do metalworking and metal shaping and stuff like that, and I'm always using different shapes, everything from cannonballs cut in half to old pieces of pipe that are welded to a 1-inch strip of scrap metal, and then I use that for like a dimple die. And then I have angle iron, and it's on a 1/4-inch strap, and I use the flat part of it. And what I do with these is I strap these in the vise, and these are used for shaping metal. And you use your hammers and shape your metal and whatever on these post dollies. And anytime I'm out anywhere, like at a junkyard or out in the woods, and I see like an old car that has a big chunk of iron on it, or a piece of pipe that I could use. And when I say a piece of pipe that I could use, I'm talking about stuff like this. These are deals that I use kind of like post dollies, and I use them for shaping metal. And I put those in my vise or weld them to the table. A lot of times you'll see this welded to my table, and I use that for bending metal. So a post dolly doesn't need to be something this big. It can be something that's this big, but it's something that you could put to the table and weld to the table, or put in a vise and shape metal with it. And I have this piece here that's just an old piece of pipe, and I welded a chunk of 1/4-inch strapping on the bottom of it, and I use that for shaping metal. And if you want to come here close up on these. And then what I did is I took some old pipe, and this is a 1/4-inch, 3/8, or 5/16, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. And this is a solid round rod. And I just welded the pieces to the top of some strapping, some flat plate, and then I rounded off the edges. And what I do with this is I put those in the vise, tighten them down, and I use these for shaping metal. And then there's other things like these here, and this is kind of like a tucking fork almost. And I just took an old chunk of iron or steel and welded a piece to it, and then cut a slit in it, and it makes it nice when you need to bend something. You can get in there and bend on the metal or whatever. And then this does the same thing. I just cut a slit in with a grinder with just a quick disc. This is actually too big for this, so. But I use that all the time, both those tools. And then one of my favorite tools is this guy right here. And I use this for shaping metal also. And I took 2 pieces of, I believe it's a 5/8-inch rod, and I welded an old piece of angle iron that I had sitting in the scrap bin to it. And I use this for shaping metal. And you can get all kinds of different crazy bends with this. When you're doing something and you want to, maybe you're building a flange for a door or a part for a car or something, and it comes in really handy. But post dollies can be all kinds of different shapes and sizes and whatever. And I actually use body dollies for shaping also. But what I did is I took an old body dolly here, and this is like a common dolly. And what I did is, I'm sorry, not a common dolly, just a metal shaping dolly for dolly and hammer work. And I took and welded a piece of metal to that, and I put it in the vise, and I use it for shaping metal on the top part. And you can get, flat parts, you can get round parts, and then you can get curved parts here when you're shaping metal. But I'm gonna go ahead and take some scrap metal. And what I have here is some old scrap pieces, and I'm gonna go ahead and weld these together, and I'll make a couple quick post dollies out of these. And as I'm doing this, I'll kind of show you what I got going on. So I'm gonna prep the surface first with a grinder. I'll do is I'm gonna weld this piece of flat strap. This is 3.5-inch flat strap, and I'm gonna weld this to this this solid round rod, and I believe it's a 7/8 inch solid rod or 1-inch rod. I'm not sure.
You could have done that when you were using the grinder. You were giving me a little bit of a heart attack.
Why is that?
Because it was like a do not do this at home, kids.
Yeah,
moment.
don't do that at home. And wear safety glasses. Don't be a dumbass.
Which you actually did have those on, but still.
So I'm gonna go ahead and weld this 3.5-inch plate to this real quick. Let me turn that gas on. And within 1 minute, you know, I built a post dolly. And then all you have to do to start shaping with these post dollies is bolt them in the vise. And usually what I'll do is I'll take a hammer so that they don't move around. And you could also weld a tab on each side of these so that they stay in the vise and they don't turn back and forth. And that way they don't, when you're shaping with a hammer and dolly, or a hammer on the dolly, it's not moving the dolly all over in the vise. And make sure you have a good vise and a very very stable workstation. So I'll go ahead and make one more real quick. And then you can see under here, this is where I keep all my post dollies.
Don't let him lie to you. That is not all of his post dollies.
I have a whole bunch of them.
He has a whole bunch of them. Like, I don't even keep track anymore. But we build them for whatever we need, which is kind of the beauty of a post dolly, and using whatever you have available.
Building for the job as you're doing a job and you're shaping metal. You know, building that post dolly for the job that you're shaping the parts for. And when you get this, get this welded on here, that didn't weld. When you get this welded on here, I mean, they don't have to be straight or nothing like that, because when you flip this thing over and put it in the vise and don't burn your hands.
How's that feeling?
It's not hot yet. Then you have that dolly. You know, it doesn't matter if it's like this or this or this or this or whatever. If like this one is a triangle, or kind of a triangle, and this was used for F-150 Ford pickup, and I built the bottom of a fender with nothing but dollies and hammers. I didn't use any English wheel. I didn't use anything like that. I did the whole thing by hand, and I used nothing but post dollies. And so that right there, I mean, these post dollies have their uses. I mean, if you are limited on tools, you could build post dollies and have a couple hammers, and you could build all kinds of crazy shapes and sizes, and all kinds of different stuff in metal. I'm gonna go ahead and finish welding this up real quick. Look at that beautiful weld.
Are you like bragging up your own welding?
No, I would never do that. So this is a Eastwood 135 that we're using to weld this with, and I mean, it's a nice little welder. But there you go. There's another post dolly, and within like maybe a minute or 2 minutes, you know, I did a little bit of talking in between, but I built post dollies, and you know, now I have another one that I could throw in the bottom of my shelf here and use for shaping metal. And you know, I've had those ones for years. I just made duplicates of the ones that I have, because a lot of times I'll cut corners off of them and put a 45 on them or something like that, and use those with a body hammer and shape something. But I'll kind of show you a couple different shapes and whatever that you can do with the post dollies.
These ones. You didn't talk about those ones yet.
Yeah, so these here, this is round rod, and these are you know, bent in a half circle. This one's a 45 or a 30 something, whatever. And then this one's just a flat here. And then this one is a piece of square rod, and I turned it on an angle and welded it to the post dolly. But there's just tons of shapes, you know, as far as like this one right here. This post dolly here is a nice one because it's got so many different shapes on it. I'll go like this.
Nice work. I will
And it's,
have to get it.
I'll grab my earplugs.
Yeah.
And this post dolly here's got a lot of different uses because it has so many different shapes. And I'll just do a quick shape on something just to kind of show you, you know, how fast with a post dolly, how fast you can shape something. But you can see here that when you start shaping, you have that post dolly and a hammer, and you just start following that edge all the way around when you're making, you know, like a door frame or something like that. And it all comes down to patience. It depends on how many patience you have when you're using a post dolly and a hammer, because, you know, you can go and build all kinds of shapes and sizes and whatever. But I don't want to keep dragging on. This was just a kind of a tech tip or a tutorial to show you what you can do with the post dollies and different shapes and sizes. So when you're at swap meets, flea markets, and garage sales, and behind old abandoned sheds and houses and whatever, look for chunks of metal that you can build into post dollies. But anyways, please subscribe to our channel, leave a nice comment down below, ring the bell, and come back and check out our other videos. Thanks for watching.